What is up, people? It's your old pal, Mr. Carly. We're going to do the review of Unit 2 Sensation Perception for Psych. Don't forget to like and subscribe and make sure we keep those likes higher than those dislikes. Anyway, chasing those clout on YouTube. Anywho, right at the top of the unit exam review, it says that you can find all the materials in your Selman packet, but there they are right there. Don't forget. And also the sensation stations, which is actually blue if you have a paper copy, but that was an assignment that you turned in. But if you have an electronic copy, it's going to be really helpful for some of that information from the unit as well. All the slideshows are on Teams. And by all the slideshows, I mean the one slideshow that was actually part of this unit. So yeah. Anyhow, so I'm going to go through the answers basically and type them in, I think. And then if you have any questions, let me know. So here we go. So when looking at a picture, you see a different color than Mr. Carly, who is colorblind. How does this example represent the difference between sensation and perception? It's a good little application problem, if I do say so myself. So basically, what I would say is sensation is the physical sense. So it's like the actual physical stimuli, the external environmental stimuli, whereas perception is how your brain interprets and categorizes that information. So both you and Mr. Carly are picking up, or let's say sensing, the same light waves or particles, depending on your physics school of thought, particles, photons, in the eye. So that's the sensation. However, it is being perceived psychologically in a different way. Carly is colorblind. Now, the reason for that is actually because of the biology of the eye. It's not anything in the brain specifically, so there is like a physical aspect to it. But what's happening is the perception is being created differently because of neural activity that's being generated that goes to the optic nerve. Because the cones in my eye are broken or at least weak, so they're not able to pick up and perceive that stimuli as much. So basically, it's that we're both receiving light signals, okay? But the way that I'm perceiving it or looking at it is going to be different from how you're looking at it, even though the reason for it is physical in nature. So I just wanted to make that clarification, I guess. So basically, just to sum it all up, showing you that sensation is more environmental. I would say this: sensation is physical, and perception is psychological. There you go. One example of bottom-up and top-down processing for each sense. I'm not going to go through every single one. Just give you an example. So again, just remember that top-down is going to be related to your top-down is internal knowledge and experience being used to create a perception. Bottom-down or bottom-up is where you basically are putting all the pieces together. So the external stimuli is driving the perception. So, for example, a good one for like taste is if you can smell something and you've eaten it before and you can see it and it's like chicken and you've had chicken a million times, you can already kind of expect what that tastes like, and that's going to influence how you taste it or what you perceive it tasting like. Or, for example, if it's like called lemon pepper chicken, you're going to have some kind of like preconceived notion of what that's going to taste like because of your experience or how you've tasted that type of recipe before. So that's going to impact you. It's going to impact your taste. Bottom up would be like the very first time you ever taste something, and especially if you have like your eyes closed and your nose plugged, for example, it's going to be really different. So that would be where you have to kind of build it up from the bottom and put it all together. Now, it's hard to think of bottom-up examples off the top of your head because you do so much top-down processing because you are an adolescent individual and you are so smart, some of the smartest people that have ever existed, and therefore it's difficult to do anything that doesn't relate to your experience or perceptions or top-down perceptions. You can do it with smell, you can do it with vision, audition. Again, top-down, as long as you're providing some sort of internal knowledge or experience or emotion that relates to it, that's good enough. Bottom up is just going to be straight up what Finian had done for a long time, where he's building up his perceptions from the bottom based on the external stimuli. The sense with the body part. So I wanted you to match these specifically with them. So let's do the ones that are for vision, and we'll cross them all out. So vision is going to be the occipital lobe. Then let's check it out. Not the limbic system, but the thalamus is going to route that sensory information for the occipital lobe. Spinal cord, not really involved. Optic nerve is going to be involved in transducing, process of transduction. Okay, so that crosses out. We used occipital lobe. We used thalamus, but we're going to use thalamus again. So I won't cross it out yet. Cool. Okay, audition. Well, hearing happens in your temporal lobe. Also, you're going to need the thalamus for that. And the cochlea. Hair nerves in your ear are going to relate to that. So good. We use that one. That's the only one we're going to use that for. We're going to use thalamus again, probably. And temporal lobe. Olfaction, or smell. So this is going to use the limbic system. It gets routed through the limbic system. That is why you have it's one of the reasons why you have a lot of memories and emotions tied to smells. Not going to use the thalamus. It's going to use the olfactory bulb. Olfactory bulb. There you go. And we're not gonna be done with the limbic system yet. So gustation or taste is an interesting one because it uses the limbic system and the thalamus and also papillae. So that's bumps on your tongue that contain the taste buds. All right, nice. And then finally, I believe we are done with limbic system at this point. So that leaves us with touch or somatosensory, somatosensation. And that is going to, why can't I strike through and talk at the same time? So that's going to be the thalamus. It also goes through the spinal cord. So it goes through your nerve endings in your skin. And in an oversimplified manner, will eventually reach your spinal cord, get sent up to the thalamus, and then it's going to go to that parietal lobe, the somatosensory cortex in the parietal lobe. All right, we did it. One example of Gestalt principle. You could do a lot. So I don't know. Why don't we just take like a random one here? NFL logos. I'm trying to decide which one I want to use. Let's do this one. Oh, that didn't work very well. These are the Houston Texans, one of the few NFL teams that have never won a Super Bowl. They've been around since 2002. But anyway, so there's a couple different things happening here. There's a little bit of kind of a figure ground, I guess you could say. So it really kind of depends on what you're seeing as the background, the foreground. You could see this as a bull with like an eye kind of like running towards you. You could also see it as more of like maybe the face is facing this way, like kind of to the left, facing to the left. Generally, we see these, even though these are different colors and they're in different spots, we will see this as forming the horns of some sort of the bull. If we're seeing the bull, because they are similar, so they have similarity. You've got the star, so the star here kind of making that shape. You've got figure ground happening as well. You've got the white of the star making the shape on the background of the blue. I don't really have a lot of continuity. I would say that you might have some similarity here where you group the red portion of the logo together with the blue portion of the logo. So that's some similarity. Don't have a lot of proximity. Let's see. Find a good one here. Buffalo Bills. Jeez, the Packers are a good one of figure ground. I've always kind of seen this little like Pac-Man looking thing in here, but it's actually a G. So depending on the figure ground, that's going to cause a problem. It's not really closure because the G doesn't really need that. But I don't know, if you draw your G's all the way over, that could be one. You kind of have some a little bit of continuity that it forms a G. This one here, Kansas City Chiefs, you have some continuity. The K goes over the C. It's also a monocular cue because you see that as being in front of the C, probably as a result because of the overlap. So a lot of ones that you could use there. It doesn't always work. There's another continuity. You probably see the S going through the F. New York Jets, you probably see Jets continuing underneath the football, which is a terrible football, by the way. Here you got a little bit of like similarity and proximity, similarity that's creating the shape of the beak. This is a really weird one. This is like a nice little optical illusion for the Washington Commanders. Terrible logo. But anyway, all right. So that's some examples from sports. What some ways that our sense of perception is limited. So you've got a lot of different ones you could use for that. You could use anything from the video related to the neuroplasticity when you haven't been using a sense that your brain will take over that area and use it for other senses, and then they have to be retrained. If you gain that sense back, you could do something about how you're able to kind of change the way you move based on how your perception changes, or how you can have some neuroplasticity by learning to move different ways depending on your perception. So that was like the guy making brownies like backwards. You got the issue of not everything being timed up the same. So your brain actually like waits and kind of synchronizes everything before you actually perceive it. So you're living in the past technically. You've got issues of certain types of stimuli taking longer to process than others. You've got the issue of like optical and perceptual illusions. So there's a lot of different examples that you can think of. Phantom limbs will be a limitation. It's something that's not real. That you're sensing you're perceiving something without necessarily having the sensation to go along with it. So there's a lot of different examples for that. We'll talk about more tomorrow or Monday in class as well. So that's pretty much it for the review here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or bribes, let me know, and I will get to them as soon as I can. All right, people. Peace.